Guys, welcome back to my first ever video. Today we're going to talk about how planes work and specifically on the Airbus A350, but that's in a later video. So now we're going to be covering about this much of the whole aviation. It's about this wide, a little bigger. And obviously I have allocated less than 15 minutes to this video. So, we're definitely going to cover that much. We're going to talk about how the engine works. So, the engine is basically like, oh my god. Engine's basically like a little box here. And there's the big turbine here, which rotates to keep the shaft over here rotating, and there is the so-called this part right here I'm covering with. The part I'm covering in green is the compressor, basically where it compresses all the air together, and in the compressor somewhere there's a part for passengers to breathe. And looks as if I made the compressor a little too big, needs more in it. But you'll be asking why, I'll tell you just a moment. You're so much more small. And then here where there's the red part, which is just as if, oops, about here, there is the so-called combustion chamber, which a spark or some fuel would be injected, like literally spat out into the cold air, and that's what heats up the air. So, and there's also this exhaust place running around the back here, exhaust. This is the combustion chamber, the big fan. This is the combustion chamber, and also there's another channel that I did not point out. Actually, it's not a YouTube channel, but like, you know what I mean, right? It's going to be dark blue. So over here, where it's pressing around the very edges of this place. Actually, it's all the way up here. And this one's also all the way up here. Which means we need to make the others far smaller. That's why on a 737, that's where about close to 80% of the air goes through. That part is called the bypass channel, which means that the air, in this case, will be using orange is going to come in through here. Oops, nothing to use. Come in through here, and it's going to go to the bypass channel. It will remain cool, and that's what actually produces quite a lot of thrust. So it's basically the same thing except without this part. And this part is pretty much exactly where all of the air that we breathe comes from. This part is where the main thrust is coming from. And also some smaller engines, like for example on the MD-11s. Okay, maybe not MD-11s, but some smaller jets, like for example, well, some Beechcraft aircraft, like that for propeller fan, which means that all of the bypass channel is not there. There's only the compression chamber and the combustion chamber. Those are the only two places where air passes through on there. And on some smaller engines, it is like this, except all of this is way bigger. Okay, the engine itself is actually smaller, and the turbine will actually only be this big. Okay, much bigger than that, but there's no bypass channel. Just saying, there's no bypass channel on those planes, And those planes that are like very, I think it's one the MD-11s. Yeah, they have those engines maybe. But anyways, the engines that are rear mounted, those ones they usually have it. So that's how the engine works. Also, just say you maybe wonder, oh, so basically just sucks air. Then why do we still need this? Well, one for passengers to breathe, and you may be asking, then why don't we just allocate one engine to it? Wouldn't that be enough? Yes, that would be enough. But the reason also do it is, I mean, like, just think of it. Like this, it also means that it increases the actual speed of the air, which can push it harder. Okay, that may be a false fact. And also, say for instance you're going out for a spacewalk, like out for a spacewalk, for carrying a mallet to fix the ISS, one of the things on it, and then you suddenly feel that your string got snapped off by a meteorite or something, and like you're just stuck in space, so you're going further and further away from the ISS. Now what do? Well, most of you will say, oh, that's easy. Well, like, oh, we're just gonna use butterfly or some sort of like breaststroke or anything that can propel me through the air. And the air part is already wrong. There's no air there, which is why swimming won't work. I mean, you have. Okay, so just think of it. We are swimming in water, so when you're doing like freestyle, your hands are like this, and they push aside the water. As they push aside, the water goes up, and the push here is what actually gives you the energy to move forward, and the push forces the water back, meaning that you're going forward. So butterfly, ram, that part you're also moving the water molecules backwards, breaststroke, and backstroke. So yeah, all of them are the same. So yeah, you won't be able to actually swim because look, we'll have air, right? And like we're pushing against the air, which is why if you do this very fast, like you actually feel yourself not wanting to go forward, but you stays. So actually, you'll have to throw the mallet out of your hand. Hang on a sec. Just saying, do not throw it out of ISS. 2 reasons. You're going to damage it, and 2, it's just going to move you faster away towards the Earth. Because look, for instance, I have this jumper here, right? If I throw it this way, you can't actually see it, but if I throw it that way, it's actually taking a step back because the force is actually pushing me back. So if you throw a mallet away from the ISS, you'll gradually move back towards the ISS. So it's the same here. Like all of the things, the hammers are thrown out through here. So yeah. Also, just saying, I go some questions that people. Since this is my first ever video, I haven't had any comments yet. But like, I remember if I ever go on a plane again, people will definitely ask me about what the tail part of the plane, why there's smoke coming out of it. No, that's not a third engine. So look, this would be the plane, right? This is the plane, right? Okay. Pretty good at drawing planes. And time for the not so good drawing part. This part, it may not exactly look like that, but that part, that's what we call the APU. That is the Auxiliary Power Unit. That's what is used to start up the planes. So basically, like, we have our wing tanks. So I'm gonna show you a second. Okay guys, I don't know what plane this is, but I think this is a HU-80 or 747, but anyways. I got something that's a little more interesting. So look at this. It's the center, the fuel tank locations. There's the left wing tank, the left center tank, and the right tank. These ones, they're like reserve tanks. Pretty different. And you can see here, the center tank, the vent tank, tailplane, trim tank. I never knew such a thing. Oh yeah. And then it'll have the wing tanks. Wing tanks are not very specific, so let's go back to this one. My wing tank. So you can see the APU gets all its energy from the place that's highlighted in yellow. This part. Yes, that part. That's all its energy there. All of the rest is dedicated to fuel flight. So basically what happens first is the left wing tanks and right wing tanks get emptied first, and then center wing tanks. But also there is a little bit of a risk. What I mean by risk is that, so pretend that you're flying as your engine is actually flying, right? So pretend that this spook is going to be the actual engine of the plane. And then suddenly you encounter a little bit of spark somehow, and it goes through your tank into the combustion chamber. And that's when things go bad. Your engine will blow up. Well, there's actually two cases. If it hits the fuel, and the whole fuel will be ignited. And if you're good, you should probably know that fuel sometimes catches fire and could explode, or it could just stay on fire. And the reason that is important to know is that it may not always explode. So it may stay on fire, but it means that all your fuel will be added. So in the event that you actually have a low engine fire during landing, it means that the left and right wing tank fuel could already be burning. Luckily, there are these center rattling rigs which prevent, so they're like center strands, like center metal things that stop fuel from flowing to one another. Means that you have to have the fuel transfer pipe to turn on. Means that right and left wing tank there'll be no more fuel. Engines will be shut down, and then yeah. So the engines may or may not be shut down. If they are to be shut down, there'll be no hydraulic power at all. Since the RAT will not be able to deploy as on the A350 versions, yeah, they won't be able to A380 version, sorry, because like they're on the wing, right? And if they deploy the RAT, the RAT could be hit. It could be a little dangerous to do that. So that, and also the right wing tank, there will be no blue hydraulic system, no green, no yellow. It means that the right wing tank, this is basically where all of the APU supply comes from. Out, center, left. The transfer pipes will be also broken, so yeah, that will be a big danger. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed this short video about how planes work. It's been about 15 minutes, so yeah. I'll see you next time for part 2 and a part 3. So if you stay safe, I will, and goodbye.